Hey guys, Nathan from Arms of Ilum here, and I've got another slightly different video than I would typically do. Usually I'm showing off custom builds and commissions that I complete, but this one's slightly different. When I first got into the whole replica lightsaber slash collecting, I guess you could say, the first thing I purchased was an Ultra Saberz grab bag, and obviously I was impressed enough to pursue the custom sabers a little bit more. But one of the things I noticed when I got that grab bag was the blade. This is one of those sabers that I got in my initial outlay, and it is a Dark Sentinel LEV4. Perfectly fine saber, a little bit bland. Kind of how Ultra Sabers are in general. At least their affordable models tend to be kind of bland, but that's neither here nor there. It came with a mid-grade blade. Mid-grade blades are pretty good. I use them for a lot of different things, especially if I'm, building a commission or something like that. For somebody locally who, typically I don't sell my sabers with blades because I don't want to ship the whole unit. It adds to the cost, and a lot of saber enthusiasts have blades laying around anyway. I think I've got 6 over in the corner over there. But regardless, I use these blades pretty frequently for custom builds because they're affordable and they look good. I mean, let me turn this on. This is a stunt saber. I'm going to turn it on. It looks pretty good. I mean, it's bright. Certainly brighter than a Hasbro Black Series green. So, well, the greens are close, but it's bright enough. But it also, in this case, gives you a light in a tube effect. So if you look at it, I mean, look, you can kind of see. You can kind of see the wall of the blade, and then you can see the diffusion film inside. Creates this, like I said, a light in the tube. So I don't love that look. Some people are okay with it. But also, and most importantly to me, the tips. Look at that. It's very obvious where that tip is. And that's pretty common. It's pretty common with most sabers. So I'm going to show you a different one. About the same time I was playing around, and I wasn't totally pleased with the way these look. Now, there are a few things you can do to make the mid-grade blade look a little better, and one of those things is actually sanding it. So let me pull this out and I'll show you a sanded version. This one is sanded. Now look, much more even light distribution. The light actually goes to the walls of the blade. This was done with 150 grit sandpaper. It looks really good. The tip looks a little bit better, as you can see, but you can still see it, especially here in person. I think the camera picks it up every once in a while there, but there you go. I mean, that's about what it looks like in person. You can still see the tip. Drives me up. It does break some of the immersion here. So in trying to find the perfect blade, I then went to the Ultra Edge blade. And this one's a sanded model version as well, just to cut down on ambient light reflection. The Ultra Edge blade is a trans white tube and produces a very an edge to edge, hence the name, effect. I mean, it looks good. It does. And these are actually my current favorite, widely available, pretty cheap blades. I mean, you can get one for 30 bucks if you're lucky and pull one in a grab bag. You get it for 10 bucks. So that's pretty cool. And you can see, I've sanded it. The tips not all that noticeable. Not bad. But it's still, if you're here in person, you can still see it. Still kind of breaks the feeling of having, a real lightsaber, if such a thing existed. So from there, I went to Vader's Vault and got one of their dual diffuse blades. Pull off the cap there. It's not, the film in these isn't glued. It's to prevent crinkling if you use them for dueling. As the blade flexes, the film inside will crinkle if you don't allow it to spin inside of itself and stuff like that. This is kind of a similar look to my sanded mid-grade. Pretty good. It's a little bit brighter than that blade perhaps, but not drastically so. I know a lot of people really like the Vader's Vault blades, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's good, it's nice, but I got a bullet tip on this one, and that's I'm not a fan of bullet tips. Probably wouldn't do it again, because you can see the light collects at the tip, very tip of the saber, and it is noticeable in person. Perhaps not as drastic as it looks on camera, but it's noticeable. So I wasn't quite happy with that. Well, recently, a company called Saberz, with a Z, you may know them because they worked with Plector Labs to develop the Prism soundboard, finally got their Starlight blades back in stock. Now, the Starlights have been out of stock for, let's just say, a long time. And I've been waiting for several months for them to get them again, but it seems like that was an eternity. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way because they've pretty well been inundated with orders. The Starlight blade's a little bit different than any of these other ones I've shown you, and largely because, one, I'm going to look down here. This probably doesn't mean a whole lot right now because you don't have the other blades. I don't have the other blades to show you real close here. Let's see if I can do that. But for one, it uses kind of an intermediate wall thickness. Certainly the walls are thicker than this Vader's Vault that I've got here in my left hand, and you can see that. Vader's Vault right here, then you've got the Starlight over here. Starlight also uses, in comparison to the Vader's Vault, also uses a trans-white blade stock. So in that regard, it's pretty similar to the Ultra Edge blade from Ultra Sabers. But where it really sets itself apart is in kind of two areas. One is the diffusion film, which is pretty similar to the others. I'm not going to say that that's like a real major upgrade. I think that there are like 26 different layers in there, is what I believe Saberz has stated, and that's supposedly the perfect amount. Whether or not that's true, that doesn't bother me so much, but it does seem to work. You've got a very even light distribution across the entire blade. The other thing that's the most important difference by my standards is the tip. Now, that's a weird looking tip, isn't it? That's what they call a hybrid or a parabolic tip, and well, as I indicated, it's shaped like a parabola. So if I take that one versus, let's say this Ultra Saberz Ultra Edge, you can see the tips are very different shapes. And then to add to that picture, let's get the Vader's Vault in the photo here. And you can see the Vader's Vault, the bullet tip versus the hybrid tip versus Saberz, or versus the rounded tip, sorry, of the Ultra Edge. So you can see that these are three very different takes. What I found is that the rounded tip does allow quite a lot of light to shine through. It looks pretty good, but for whatever reason, companies haven't been able to overcome, or I don't want to say they haven't been able to. It's just that in general, you can still see it. The bullet tips, I don't think do a real great job of handling the light because it seems to collect right in the center. So those two aren't great. They're alright, they work, but they're not my favorite. This guy's a totally different ballgame. So I'm going to go ahead and put him into this saber. I'll just tighten it down. Now one thing I want to note is that the Saberz Starlights, like this one, are a little bit narrower than other blades I've used. They're pretty close to the mid-grade blades from Ultra Sabers, which happen to be a bit thicker or a bit thinner than the Ultra Edge blades that they have. I found that out from, I didn't even realize it until I started trying to put them in Darth Vader conversions from TCSS, and found that the mid-grades fit, the Ultra Edge needed some sanding. These guys are, I believe, about 2.5 centimeters in diameter, so just shy of 1 inch, and so they might wobble a little bit in certain blade holders. So one thing you might have to do is give it a little bit of tape, like packing tape or something, just to thicken it up a little bit to get a little bit better fit. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and turn this on. Boom. First off, I haven't done anything to this. I may one day sand it. I might sand it at some point because I don't like ambient light reflection on my blades, and you still get that because it's got a shiny finish. So it may end up sanded. We'll see. But let's check this tip out. Oh wait, where is the tip? I mean, honestly guys, yes, you can see it if you look very closely. I mean, I think as I move it, you might be able to pick up, like, there you go, yeah. You can kind of see where it is. I mean, there's a line there for sure. But most importantly, when I hold this saber out like this, like, I'm actually using it, unless I'm looking directly at it, I don't notice the tip. And that's actually, it's pretty cool. It really is. It's certainly as good as we're going to get right now, I think, until somebody does a full one-piece blade. But that's going to take a lot of effort because most makers are just using available polycarbonate tube stock, and then they're making the tips separately. And that I think if we ever see a one-piece blade, it's going to cost quite a bit more than a lot of us are expecting. But this is about as good as it gets right now. I don't think that there's anything that has a better tip blending for a blade than this one from Saberz. So as of right now, and I haven't beaten on this thing like somebody who duels would, I think this is probably the best option for a good display blade. Like they do say that you can duel with these. If you hit the tip directly, there is a chance it'll pop off. Saberz acknowledges that fully. However, like I said, it's definitely the best display blade as of right now. So I wanted to give you guys a quick look at it. I will have a written review in the description at some point. I'm running a little bit behind on my written reviews, so give me a little bit on that. But I wanted to get you a closer look at this blade because I am very, very happy with it, and I know that they're available right now. So if you want one, jump on them, because hopefully, and I know that they say that they're going to keep them in stock, but hopefully Saberz won't have them out of stock for months and months like they did in the past, and you guys can go ahead and grab those. If you have any questions, be sure to put those in the comments, or send me an email through the site, armsofilum.net, and I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Until then, may the Force be with you.